Technology gets more and more complex every single day. But who are the people actually building the solutions we all rely on? Today, we're going to look at a leader who doesn't just put up with complexity, he actually goes looking for it. Let's dive into the work of David Tait.
This quote, right from his professional summary, really says it all, doesn't it? We're not just talking about someone who can write code. We're talking about someone who can untangle the absolute gnarliest technical problems you can imagine and build a solution from the ground up. And get this, he's been doing it for 15 years. And not just in any field, but in some of the most demanding industries out there: finance, compliance, and defense. I mean, these are high-stakes environments where there is absolutely zero room for error.
All right, so let's dig into the first big area here: engineering digital trust. This is all about how you build those super secure, super scalable platforms that, honestly, the entire global financial system depends on to work. This slide just lays it out so clearly. Think about the old way of doing things. Financial compliance meant mountains of paperwork, manual checks. It was just incredibly slow and, frankly, full of risk. David helped engineer the shift away from all that to an automated, digital, and secure platform, and it was a total game changer. So how'd they actually pull off that transformation? Well, it really boils down to these three crucial steps. First, you have to collect all that sensitive client data securely. Then, you automate all those critical Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering checks. And finally, you make it possible to sign things electronically in a way that's legally binding. This wasn't just a small upgrade. It was a complete reinvention of the whole process. Okay, let's get into the tech for a second because this is where it gets really cool. He used something called a containerized white label architecture. Think of it like a pre-built solution that you can quickly customize for any client. He also built in flexible workflows. And check this out. He integrated generative AI to automatically pull info from documents. I mean, that is seriously cutting-edge stuff. And this wasn't just some cool idea that sat on a shelf. The success was huge. The platform is now being rolled out across the entire globe by Grant Thornton, one of the biggest tax and auditing firms in the world. That's about as big a real-world endorsement as you can possibly get. Now, let's switch gears completely. We're going to pivot from the world of finance to something totally different, but believe me, just as demanding: creating these incredible, immersive training simulations for some of the most elite organizations on the planet. And yeah, when I say elite, I am not kidding. For instance, check out his work with the Royal Navy. Just try to wrap your head around this for a second. His team built a full-blown nuclear submarine simulator for commanding officers. They used a video game engine, Unity 3D, to do it. It had a real-time physics model, and, get this, the trainers could literally trigger disasters inside the simulation to test how the crew would react. Talk about high-stakes training. And the list of high-profile clients doesn't stop there. He also architected solutions for the U.S. Marines. For them, he built these incredible 3D virtual worlds for advanced wargaming. The system uses what's called an agent-based architecture, which basically means it creates smart AI opponents that think for themselves to make it all feel real. The result is that it dramatically shrinks training time. And you know the quality is top-notch when the project is a finalist in the prestigious Serious Games Showcase and Challenge. Okay, so we've seen some seriously complex tech in finance and defense. But here's the million-dollar question. How does this stuff actually turn into business value? Well, that brings us to our next section: driving commercial impact. I love this story. So he had this personal project he was working on, just something he built in his spare time. But he saw the potential in it, turned it into a full-scale solution, and boom, landed a major client. That shows you he's not just thinking like an engineer, he's thinking like an entrepreneur. And the impact? It was huge. That one project generated several $millions in revenue from a single contract, with even more in the works. Numbers like that really show you the power of turning a great piece of technology into a great product. Here's another powerful before and after. He was working with a company that did environmental impact reporting. Before, it took them over a week. A whole week to create one report using a clunky, single-user Excel tool. After he was done, it took just a few hours, all on a modern, multi-user web portal. That is a mind-blowing leap in efficiency. So you're probably wondering, what's under the hood here? What are the actual core skills that make all of this amazing stuff possible? Let's take a quick look at the technical foundation.
Well, you can see right away he's got a deep and really modern skill set. For back-end and front-end, you've got all the heavy hitters, .NET, ASP.NET Core, React, Blazor, but what's really impressive is the range. It's not just web. He's also an expert in mobile, desktop, and even 3D game development with Unity 3D. That's a huge spectrum of skills.
And on the data and cloud side, it's the same story. He's proficient with all kinds of databases, both SQL and NoSQL. He uses Redis for high-speed performance, and he's deeply experienced with Azure and containerization tools like Docker. These are pretty much all the essential building blocks you need to create any modern, scalable application. And finally, this slide really ties it all together. See, it's not just about writing code. It's about strategy and leadership. He's designing complex architectures, leading global teams across the US, Europe, and India, and always grounding his work in what the user actually needs. That's the difference between just being a developer and being a true technical architect. So when you put it all together, this is what you get. A leader who excels at taking those really complex, confusing business requirements and turning them into real, high-impact software that actually delivers value. And that kind of brings us to this final thought. With a skill set this broad and a proven track record of solving some of the toughest problems in finance and defense, it really makes you wonder, what complex challenge should be solved next?